The ego. The ego is also formed at the moment of conception. As the baby develops, the ego begins to make itself felt. It is the foundation of your human selfhood, which gives you individuality. It is the energy of your human consciousness. It makes you distinct and unique from everyone else. In order to preserve your individuality, the ego must protect you from outside attack of any kind, and it must give you what you need to help you prosper, flourish, grow, and be happy. This is divinely ordained and not to be treated with contempt. The ego constitutes an all-important and very necessary nucleus of consciousness of creation, development, and growth. The ego is exclusively governed by the electrical current of activity consciousness, the go-go impulse apparent in all living things, even in plants, which turn and display their foliage to catch the sun in the best possible way. This is a movement conceived in the go-go electrical field and in the bonding desire emotional field in the consciousness of the plant to enable the plant to grow and enjoy the warmth of the sun. The ego in every living thing is the seat of the earthly consciousness only. In no way does it resemble in any shape or form the divine reality which constitutes the soul. The ego drive, the drive which is directed exclusively at getting what it wants to make the individual entity happy and to protect it from attack, to ensure its survival, and will trample on other entities or species to achieve its purposes, pertains to the earthly dimension only. This ego force is active within every living thing, from the least amoeba to the mightiest king. You could call the ego drive the protector and dictator of the living universe. It is at this point that the majority of people in your world today become confused when contemplating the possibility of the existence of a God. They review the activities of various species driven by their ego consciousness, the one feeding on another to obtain sustenance, and these people decide that this savagery must be the working of the Creator. How then can the Creator be a God of love? This is one of the misapprehensions and beliefs I would like to sweep away. It is my purpose that all people should come to realize that the entire universe has, at its basic core and foundation in all things, the divine life force which inspires and respires through all of creation. It is the hidden but powerful equilibrium out of which all things have taken being, form, and shape. It is the scientist's space in which is conducted the movement and bonding of the electrical particles. It is both the impenetrable and forever unknowable ground of existence, and also the hidden source of all substance of all things in the universe. The ego is the tool of divine creativity to produce individuality out of the unity of its own beingness. What I am about to say will be hotly disputed by your scientists. Nonetheless, I am about to refer to the souls of those earthly beings whose intellect is sufficiently evolved to debate and decide on a course of action, and with even only partial understanding, respond intuitively and intelligently to what is happening in the environment. These entities of all more advanced species are the genius of their kind. Do not judge the inner development of any species, human or otherwise, by their outer physical bodies. All living things are individualized out of the same divine life. Some psyches are enabled by their increasingly spiritualized mental, emotional fields to peer through the ego consciousness and embark on neighborly, caring acts, which can only proceed from the promptings of the soul drawn from the divine reality. Therefore, the greatest respect and consideration should be accorded to all living things. Where the species has evolved to the point of formulating clear ideas and thoughts and putting them into sounds and words, and the spiritual development of the psyche can penetrate the ego consciousness, the psyche begins to question. Is this all there is to life? What are our life purposes? Etc. When this happens, the soul is beginning to impress the psyche with an urgent need to reach out to its source of being, which it instinctively knows does exist and is its true home and resting place. The soul's hidden but continual longing to be reunited with its source of being can now be felt by the psyche. If there are people who never reach this vital development in their lives, it is because their ego, mental, emotional processes are so strongly geared to the exercise of intelligence and reason that when other people ask questions such as, "How did life begin? Is there a God? How has such a wonderful universe been designed and created?" The ego of the non-seeker and non-believer is conscious only of its own omnipotence and sets out to disprove there is any higher dimension out of which the earth could have taken form. It argues away the voice of the soul relayed through the psyche, and with each argument entombs itself more firmly within the perceptions of the material and visible world, which represent their only security. Therefore, the soul remains imprisoned within the ego mental, emotional, electrical, magnetic chains, and the human mind remains convinced that there is no soul, that the earthly dimension of existence and the physical life force are the only realities. If such people's minds are determined to reject any inspirational whispers from the psyche soul, the body suffers minor ailments, relationships are strained, and life generally is stressful. A disease may follow. This is because such a person is drawing only on the limited resources of energy drawn from the food they put in their mouths. This energy proceeds from a chemical process and not from the source of all life. Whilst you have drawn your life initially from the divine reality, and it has given you being, you also draw your physical energy from your food and the digestive processes which manufacture enzymes to break down the food into a usable form, which feeds the physical cells throughout your body and mind. This is the life of the body. Many people live and die drawing exclusively on the energy derived from their physical processes. The type and amount of energy drawn from physical processes is greatly affected by the mental, electrical, and emotional magnetic fields of the living entity.